Everybody finished? Yeah. Discussion? Way finished. Alright, let's call this meeting to order. First you're gonna record?
I'm sorry, what?
You're recording, right?
Yes.
Oh, we don't get our announcement. Oh, there we go. Alright. Order confirmation of proper notice.
Notice posted on the 12th according to statutory requirements.
Roll call.
Ethel Cookie Finch. Here. Roger Schultz.
Here.
I'm here. Shannon.
Here.
Steve.
Here.
Dick Picola.
Here.
There you are. Jenny Palmer.
He went out to make a phone call.
But he's here. George Fisher.
He's on the screen.
Here.
Monica Heigl.
Here.
Marv Howard.
Here.
Tammy Alborn.
Me, here.
Tiffany Conklin. Here. Barbara Carey.
Here.
Gus Miller.
Here.
John West.
Here.
My goodness.
Everybody.
Everybody.
100%.
Whoa.
Everybody's back. Must be, to those of
Must be
you who are,
October.
and the airlines are full.
I was
Alright.
kind of not full playing yesterday.
I want to welcome everybody back, all those who have returned from the north for the season. Don't see anybody online, but I was going to say if any people coming back need anything from the office, please let us know. I'm happy to report that the 43rd Street homeless situation is just about non-existent. It's been clear for a couple months now. So
Actually saw one yesterday.
The one in the wheelchair?
34th or 53rd?
Yeah, he's been there.
43rd.
Or 43rd.
He's on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
That's not our side.
No.
I'm talking about our side.
Yeah.
Let's see. I guess I'll give a real quick synopsis of the insurance because that's the elephant in the room. It seems to be a yearly thing. We're not sure, but the insurance guys, some have said we could have a 100% increase. Some say 70. Our neighbors next door, they did get a 100% increase. They went from 70,000 to 150,000. In order for them to remain, what would you say, financially solvent, they have a $3,000 assessment due January 1st, plus their dues are going up $700 a quarter.
700
Yes.
from what they are currently?
Yes. They're going up $2,683
A quarter?
a quarter. So, in that, we literally are in pretty good shape because according to our budget, the proposed budget, we're looking at 240 to 288, depending on the size of your unit. So, I guess that's a look at it positive. If the insurance doesn't go up as high as we think it might, and we've budgeted too much, we can always lower maintenance fees for the latter part of next year, just like we raised them this past year. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed, and maybe they'll come in less. There's some options that were thrown out on the table, and we're still tinkering with some of those about lowering the coverage, but our lawyer has totally advised 100% against it. So
Why?
because of the way the law reads, he says it's pretty much stone. You will insure for 100% of replacement value.
I thought it said adequate replacement.
Our declaration reads that,
Yeah.
not the word of law.
Lower is adequate. Declarations are.
Declaration.
And when there is a variance between the statute and the declaration, the one that is the most stringent is always takes place. So our documents supersede the word adequate in the declaration in the statute.
All right. That's all I got to start with. So, review the minutes. I looked at those.
Excuse me.
Any changes? Anything?
I do want to make a change. I wasn't here. And it says I was.
Yeah, I had you in, and I took you out, and I put you in again, so you're out.
Anything else?
Easy come, easy go.
Do I hear a motion to accept?
I'll accept. I'll second.
Barbara seconds. Very good. Anybody opposed? Okay. I'm done. All right. We've got financial matters.
Okay, well,
Barbara.
yeah. We have some variances. They're pretty much running the same as they have been in the past couple of months. Administration is overdue to the way the increased condo fee we're collecting was booked by the accounting, the accountants, I should say. Grounds is over. All the tree trimming was spent earlier in the year than the way it was budgeted, so as we approach towards the end of the year, that should offset zero out there. The buildings is a staff shortage right now, and the utilities is a timing difference, seasonal usage of mostly the gas. The next page, the reserve funds. Right now, we have close to $1.5 million invested in reserve funds. We are earned $32,800 to date. We're still on target to earn almost just under $40,000 for the year. On October 2nd, because we've been collecting money for next March's insurance bill all year, we have quite a bit of operating funds set aside for that payment, and it's up to $500,000. I think John puts a note on the balance sheet there. $593,000. We took $400,000 and put it in CDs, and we're estimating they'll mature next January, February, in time for the March 7th payment. We'll get about $6,100 in interest for operating funds from that. So that was well worth investing. That's all I got.
Financial statements, got all that. Investments, accounts receivable.
Well, first time we have a few, and they look somewhat inflated as you take a look. There's been a slight change in the way we have to collect from now on. You'll see it under communication. I sent you copies of the letters that we sent out for those people who were in arrears. And the statute now requires this letter to go out before you can proceed any further with collections. So you'll notice that somewhere in the 3,000s, and that's really because I did it as of the 11th of October, so the October fee is in there. So most of them are just one behind, but it looks like two or more. I did talk to all owners who owed any more than $1,500. I either talked to them personally, or I left messages. There's two there. There will continue to be a collection process, and three of them already came in and satisfied their debt, not even realizing that they had it. So the receivables are a little bit better shape than what the report shows when I first rendered it, but as of September 30th, there were two owners that owed $500, and there were 8 that owed a quarter, one that owed 2 quarters, and units with legal fees, and of course, legal actions. 718 now must satisfy their debt or lose the unit to us on the 30th of November. And I understand it's for sale, and so hopefully that'll be taken care of. The rest of the addresses you see are those owners that state that are in arrears. I think it's 103, and 138, and 617 came in and paid. So we've got the 272, 203, and 311 still, and 762. 762 is that unit that runs itself up to $10,000, $11,000, then they pay it with the legal fees. I don't know, they must just like to pay fees. And 311 is also tends to run 2 or 3/4, then comes in and pays everything. So I don't anticipate any issues at all with the collections other than 762.
And old business, building repairs.
Okay, building repairs, the only thing we're really doing right now is awaiting, we've got one bid in to refinish the surfaces on the upstairs. A second bid is due, and I've talked to a third contractor today, so we'll have 3 bids for, I'm not sure if we'll have it for the meeting tomorrow, but we have a building committee meeting tomorrow that we'll discuss that.
Tomorrow or Wednesday?
Tomorrow.
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 Oh, I thought it's listed as Wednesday.
Yeah, I know, we've got changed,
On the bulletin boards is
So-
Tuesday.
yeah. So, anyway, there'll be agendas out to those who are on the committee, notifying them tomorrow.
Good.
Okay. Next, operations manual.
We are just finishing up with the committees. We were doing, word changing to make it simpler. Our next meeting will be October 25th at 10 a.m. And then we also have a meeting on November 7th at 11 a.m.
Property insurance update. You wanna-
I think it probably,
I've
well,
pretty much already hit
you
on it.
kind of put a bow on it, other than the fact that there's no way that we'll have an absolute quote until 2 to 3 weeks before. We all know that. We all know what the agents, and there are more than one agent involved, telling us exactly what you said.
Yeah.
They started with 40%, then they went to 70, and one said anywhere up to 150. So that's there, and there are really no changes other than the agent on the East Coast. I've asked them to look into some sort of layering process to see if in fact that they could come in with a different type of suggestion. No sense one agent going to ACIC and another agent going to ACIC and getting the same rates. The ACIC won't even give it to them. And the Heritage has turned us down for 2 years now in a row. So it will either be some sort of layered product, the Citizens or ACIC. That's what I see anyway.
Could you ask whoever's not muted on there to mute?
You have to speak louder.
I don't.
I didn't hear what you
She
said.
said, if somebody's unmuted there, it should be muted.
Oh, go ahead.
So I was giving some thought this weekend to the insurance matter, and I'm just so disappointed that we're stuck in such a hard place with paying so much for this service that we may not even use, and then not being able to save ourselves money with the rules about having to get 100% approval from mortgagees. And so I was looking into some legal options, and I don't know if anyone gets terms and conditions updates from anyone that you might have a contract with, but a lot of times I'll get an email from them that says, like, we have updated our terms and conditions, blah, 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 and at the end it says something about, like, by receiving this letter, you acknowledge acceptance of the new terms. And I found that in contract law, that's called silence as acceptance. And basically you just notify somebody that they're accepting your contract by not answering. And so I was kind of wondering if maybe we could bounce it off of our lawyers that if we did pursue the mortgagees, instead of it being a long and expensive process of trying to track down their lawyers and pay lawyers' fees, it would flip the balance of power so that we could just notify them that they will be accepting our change in terms and conditions unless they pursue us for a rejection. And I would expect that our lawyers know what that is, but I just thought that it could be an interesting avenue to pursue if they hadn't thought of it already.
No reason why we can't ask the question.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Every credit card company in the world does it.
Great idea.
That is a good one.
The assessment of our property, who assesses and says what value we are they part of the insurance company?
No, we had the evaluation, there's outside evaluators, and the state requires us to get evaluation each year, each 3 years.
Okay.
And we just got one, and it was last year. And it went from 78 million to 92 million, mainly because of building products and expense.
Okay. Material expense.
Material
for
expense,
replacement
yeah.
cost, okay.
Parking and driveways?
Parking driveway, the contract's finished. Probably the beginning of the second week in November, they're set. We'll have a scheduling coming out next week, so everybody can take a look and see what they're going to work with a map for each cluster, so everybody will have a direct understanding of when they can park, when they can't park. It'll probably be a 3-day per cluster type of operation with getting the coats and the striping and everything else. And we were able to get the price the same as last year's quote, so that was a good thing.
New business, communications.
Okay, a couple communications, some letters sent. Number one, letter sent to Miss Fiala, 597 Lakeside Drive, regarding feeding of undomesticated animals, primarily squirrels, behind her unit. I have sent her a registered letter. I haven't had a response yet. Secondarily, a letter was sent to actually the son of the owner of 274. The owners are been away for an extended period of time. They're due back, I guess, the word I had is they're both got COVID and they're stuck in Canada on their long sojourn over the summer. They will be back. Their son is 18 years old and has done a couple things, nothing major, but enough to draw the attention of security and he had a group of friends over in the pool without the proper number of passes. He's been playing his radio loud at night up until 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And also they had a group of playing pickleball that got somewhat, what's the word?
Yeah.
Rowdy, rowdy. And so he's been aware of that, and he has talked to security staff and said that he will abide by the rules. So that and the letters out for collection. It's communication at this point.
Okay, review and approve the mailing to the owners of the proposed operating 2024 budget.
This is a requirement by the state that anytime the budget committee proposes the budget, the board reviews it, doesn't adopt it, can make any amendments at this time that they might wish to do, and then you send the proposed product out to all owners, and actually it'll be on the agenda for the November meeting for formal adoption. That's a state process.
Can I just go back on
Sure.
the notice to Nancy Davies?
Yeah.
The unit number doesn't look right. It's, you have 272 Woodlawn Drive.
Oh,
It's 272 is not Woodlawn. Might have to resend that one.
I'll have to talk to my secretary
Okay.
on that one, not to throw her under the bus or anything.
Okay.
I wonder how Nancy got that. That's very strange about Nancy, you bring her up, and Nancy is the last owner that was under the monthly pay, and she's just never been in arrears. And so I'm a little concerned. I tried to call her, and she didn't return my call. I hope her health is all right, because she just walks in first of every month and pays it. So
She may not have gotten this notice though.
she probably didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Where were we? Oh,
Sorry, budget.
oh, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt that.
Yeah. Thank you, Barbara.
Well, what do we have to do with this? We discuss this thing upside
Well, if there's any
down.
further discussion about any of the issues, we have owners here that might want to address the board before it's sent out. I do have a late change to propose before it sends out. Each year, I contact FP&L and the county and things like that to see if there's any proposed raises coming, and the county always tells you the same thing. Well, we have a budget, but we don't know what it's going to be adopted yet, and so therefore, right now, as of now, there's no change. Well, we got our first garbage bill March 4th, and found out there is a change. They've raised all dumpster rental rates 50%, which means that our trash bill is going up $510 a month. So my proposal would be, since we have so much money in the insurance, I don't think we ought to hit the owners any further because of that raise. I think we ought to just move some money from the insurance budget. There's about $6,200. We should just reduce the insurance budget and just add it to the trash pickup, so we'll at least have a balanced budget.
Well, now what about with the issue of non-pickup that we've been experiencing?
Well, we're gonna get a couple credits, but that means
Okay.
nothing. That, I mean,
Not enough to offset.
not
Unfortunately.
$6,100 worth, no.
As I understand it, we have no means of putting this out on bid at all anymore. The trash.
Oh, no, it's a county, it's right, it's, the county contract is out with waste, county puts out the contract. And the only thing that we get a savings on is the fact that we are registered to have our own dump for our trash. Otherwise, we'd be paying for vegetation trash also. And we actually save money by applying for that loophole, if you will. And we still pay about $20,000 a year, but if we did it with the county, it would be almost double.
Pam,
Okay. In talking pertaining to the proposed operating budget, I would like to make a motion to send the proposed budget back to the budget committee for more options. And why I say this is because in years past, we have had 2 or 3 different options that we could present to the people.
Can't do that.
Wait a second. What's going to happen is the people are going to look at the budget and they are going to refuse it in November, and then we're going to be in a whole heck of a lot of hurt scrambling to get a budget out before December. When we start looking at adequate versus real insurance, when we start looking at ways of trying to save money, okay, pools. We saved $8,400 this year on rent alone for the next year. Plus, if we don't buy chairs and umbrella, so that comes to $10,000. Landscaping, if we don't buy mulch next year, and trees and shrubs, that's $20,000. If we don't have pest control, outside only, but when we have outside only, half the time, anybody with a courtyard, they don't even open the gate. They don't come in. So I know for a fact that most of Woodlawn did not get outside, or Woodlawn, yeah, Lakeside did not get outside service because they don't open the gates. A lot of people don't want pest control coming in if they have pets because of the chemicals. Why don't we just make it an on-demand thing? If you have a pest control, you have cockroaches you're seeing, we call, they come and spray. If we have ants at the pool, they come, they spray. Other than that, that's $20,000 we could lower right there. Security, Jim has already talked to John and Steve where he could cut costs. We have in the proposed budget staff raises. We all love our staff dearly. However, they also work after hours on most of our people's courtyards making money. We give them money at Christmas time, cash, that they don't even claim on their taxes, so it doesn't knock them into a higher tax break. So if we have, all right, say 9 employees, with taxes added to that, that's another 20,000. What can the office do to maybe cut corners somewhere and save us some money? Just those things that I mentioned come to $102,000, $102,000, not 1,000, but 102,000. Now, yes, you divide that by 558 homeowners, and it only comes to 183 a year, which is $46 a quarter. But at least the owners realize that we are doing something to lower the budget. Last year, our quarter was $300. If we can lower it, even $46 a quarter, which is $183 a year, they're showing that we are trying to do something to help them. There are people in this association that are living month by month. Social Security did not get an increase. Some of the people who are working, they are cutting from 40 hours a week to 36, and even though that's a full-time, still full-time, that's 4 hours a day that they're not getting paid for, or 4 hours a week that they're not getting paid for. Some of them are going to a 32-hour week, which is part-time, and therefore they only have part-time insurance. They don't qualify for the full-time insurance. So people are feeling the hurt across our association. And if you don't believe me, go walk a dog and start talking to some of these people, because that's when you start hearing the fear of the budget going up. So if we can send it back and see if they could work up some other budgets as options for the people to look at, I think that would be a little bit more fair than just saying, well, we have to go with what we have. So that's my proposal.
Well, how come you didn't bring this up at the workshop?
Because we can't do a proposal at the workshop. We can do a proposal here. And at the workshop,
Well, I feel like
we
we're
had
being
just-
blindsided a little bit. We're not disagreeing with, you know, some of the suggestions. I disagree on the salaries. If you were at the budget meetings, we got into the salaries and the reasons for the increases and whatnot, but it's quite a long list that you saved. You were at the workshop meeting and didn't say a word.
we had just gotten this budget prior to the workshop. So when you start looking at it with a fine-tooth comb, it wasn't at the workshop that we were able to sit and put it under a microscope. But when you start looking at this, and it's like, they can't afford this. And when you start, I just started with my calculator looking at things and how we could do. Nobody wants to make cuts in budgets. However, we have to do something to put it out to the people, or they're going to refuse it. And we have people that have already started talking about they can't even sell because association fees are so high. They don't know what they're going to do.
I think, Tammy, I understand where you're saying we need to save money, but we have so little that we can control. The big chunk of this is the insurance. We can't do a thing about that. I understand where we can cut back in some of these areas and maybe save $100,000, but that's something that we should have talked about in the budget committee and done a lot more discussion about it than the day that we're supposedly going to vote to send this out to the people.
But even if you go back and look at the budget committee videos, there's a lot of discussion on every single line item.
Yes. Yes. It's true, because each one of those budgets was sent in.
Yeah, the salaries, the salary increases do not amount to $30,000.
How many employees do we have?
11, 12.
Ranges 10 to 11.
Okay, well, the 20,000 was just based on 9 employees at $1 an hour raise plus taxes. That
The
came
only-
to
the
20,000.
only raise-
Who said they're never gonna get $1 an hour?
The only
I'm
raise
just
in this particular
Giving
budget,
it as a,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, I apologize, but we're talking about the budget committee. The pool committee is the only committee that asked for a raise for their employee. That's the only place the raise is in there. There is also some increased funds in the building committee to get a qualified carpenter. We cannot, we're running almost 7 months, 8 months without a carpenter. We had to go outside, use outside labor that costs more money. We have somebody who's very interested in coming in here, and the rate to bring somebody in that's much better than the one we had is about $4 an hour. And not to have a qualified person here that can really do a good job and save us money in the future, that $4 was put in the budget. You can cut it out, and we just can run without it. But you're not gonna get somebody who's gonna do what we need to do in today's market. Carpenters are getting $38, $40, and $42 an hour. We're lucky we could find somebody for 24 or 25. So there's been no increase put in for administrative. There's no increase for the grounds. And so basically the only committee that came up with any increase was the pool.
I kind of agree on the mulch. You know, I'm looking at the weeds. It's really heavy. Help kick down the weeds this year. Probably maybe because we have no rain. But
Mulch helps control the weeds. I mean, we can sit here and cut anything you want. The last thing I think you want to even consider cutting though is pest control. I mean, we were paying almost twice when I came here because they were billing us for all of Wildewood Springs.
the other ones.
And nobody even
yeah,
checked.
yeah.
Nobody even
Wildwood
checked.
too?
Yeah,
Yes.
the whole place, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when he came up with a raise, I said, wait a minute, what's going on? Well, you said, you know, you've got those 875 units in here. And that was paid for 3 years. We were able to cut it substantially, and it's still there. And if we cut out pest control, you want to hear the phone rings? I mean, Tammy, I understand where you're coming from.
No, I'm just, we
But I
have to
mean,
take something
you
to
know,
the
there's-
people that they
there-
can look at with reason versus this is what we're giving you.
Yeah, I'm not debating
You know,
on it, you've
yeah.
got valid points,
You know.
you know.
And, you know, same way with the contract law and the issue with adequate versus real insurance. You know, I understand exactly what Tiffany is saying for that. You know, but we
But
have to
adequate
go
is
to
not
the,
even in the conversation. That's the problem. The problem is that the association documents say you will insure to full value. And you are, as a board member, potentially
Liable.
responsible and are liable if you don't. Last thing I want to see is board is to put themselves in a situation, excuse me, where they could be sued.
Not gonna happen on my watch.
You know, after sitting there on the budget committee, I really didn't see any place we increased the budget because we wanted more of something than we had last year.
The only thing that increased was the spectrum and insurance.
Yes, well, which was a standard, we didn't have any choice there either. We had contracted for that years before, so there wasn't a place with Tammy there we didn't look to get rid of something.
I understand
You
what
know,
you're
the mulch
saying.
thing is something that is kind of a flexible item, but I don't think we really decided to have more mulch. So my biggest problem is that I don't want to have this budget end up on somebody's desk, an owner's desk, 5 minutes before we have to put it in place. And the longer we wait, the longer we put this off, it's going to be more time for them to be able to go over and see where they can save it. I don't know. I feel frustrated by this because we could do nothing. Nothing. We've done everything up to and including tried to shuck and jive around this insurance thing, and we couldn't do it.
I'd just like to add that the insurance increase was $770,000. The cable increase, which is a contractual obligation, was $24,000 and change. And the entire rest of the budget for every expense you had was $6,800 raise.
Gee,
That's on the sheet.
that's how much we could control.
Yeah.
I think, well, when the board gets through, we let the owner, yeah.
The inspector should give us a big credit.
Well,
They
we're done
didn't
with
show ESPN for 3 weeks, making us miss out on the US Open. I had to fly out the state to watch the US Open.
Send that to them.
Send them a bill.
Probably would have gone to Clancy's with their
I know.
satellite TV or something.
What happens if the owners say no?
The owners don't vote on this budget.
We do, just us.
Yeah. The only way the owners could protest by statute is if this was a more than 15% increase, and it's not.
Really, it's not.
Yeah, if it's more than 15%, then the owners have a right to propose a secondary budget. But the owners do not vote on the budget.
So our sending it to them is just
Our sending it to them is so they
It's
can see it,
informative.
read it, understand it, and come. And you can still amend it at the next meeting.
Okay.
If you find a hue and cry, say against mulch, or if you find a hue and cry against anything in there, that's why we're saying we're not adopting this budget.
Yeah, I think,
We're accepting it for mail.
I think I agree that it needs to be sent so the owners have the time to review, complain. I feel bad for the people that are gonna have a really hard time affording this.
So in other words, if we send it back now to budget committee.
No, I'm saying send it to the owners.
That's what I'm saying. Well, her motion is to send it back
Wait a
to
minute,
budget committee.
with all due respect, we have a motion on the floor with no second, and we're discussing it.
Oh, okay.
The owners that are gonna hurt,
We either have
I
a
feel so
second.
bad, I feel bad for them, and I wish there was something we could do. And hopefully next year, or if everybody goes home and says their prayers, it won't be 100% increase.
No, even our insurance guy said, last time he was here, he said 70, so.
And
We
if
can hope
that's
for
the case, then we can reduce it.
These days are gone.
And unfortunately, the third, 3 quarters, we don't have time to do that because we don't know until March, right?
Go ahead.
May I speak?
Yep.
For those of you that don't know me, I am Cheryl Pike, and I did send out the letter on behalf of everyone that is hurting, definitely, for sure, in my cluster. These are longtime residents that have been here since this place began. They don't have the money. I don't have the money. I'm looking at this page here, and you say that there is no increase in salaries. I'm looking at this proposed budget under administration. Adopted budget last year was $131,660. The proposed is $135. That's $4,000 right there. You go over
Can I
to,
address that when you talk, Cheryl, or would you like me to wait?
I'm sorry?
Can I address that now, or do you
Well,
want?
I'd like to finish saying.
I don't want to interrupt, I just want to know, I can deal with it on each thing. if
But
you
what
want.
I'm saying is, you're saying that that our employees should get another raise. I'm not against people getting
There
a
is
raise.
no raise in administration.
Then
got
why does
fired.
grounds go up to 230 from 221? Why does building go from 84,000 to 100,000? Why does pools and tennis go from 43 to 45? Those are all increases in the proposed budget, and I'm just quoting the salary line and nothing else. That does not include payroll taxes, okay? Every time you raise, then you gotta take more out in payroll taxes. So, this is, I don't know how to describe it, but for you to say, and I'm not against, like I said in my letter, I'm not against people getting a raise, but they did get a raise last year, okay? And like Tammy said, they have other jobs, they have other income. Those of us that are retired don't have other jobs, don't have other income coming in to make up the shortfall. if you go with what this is requesting on my unit alone, it's $270 a quarter. I'm not getting $270 in any kind of a pension or any kind of Social Security to offset that. It was all I could do to make what I did this year to cover this year. And I'm compared to most of the people in my cluster, I'm relatively well off as far as finances. But then you've got to realize also, I have a mortgage. Maybe a lot of people don't. If you have a mortgage, the taxes are going up from the county, okay? Your insurance, your homeowner's insurance is going up. That's in addition to the $270 that you're talking about adding to mine. I don't know where I'm gonna come up with this from. And we just got everybody down to where there was nobody behind. When John took over, there was 40-some people behind. You've worked hard as a board to get it down, to get everybody caught up. And I can tell you right now, you're gonna go right back up again because people cannot afford this. Next year, take another look at it. And if we can afford it next year with the economy the way it is and food going up and gas and everything else, then revisit it next year. But this year, this world is going to hell in a handbasket, and I just don't understand. I guess I don't understand why more people on this board are not more charitable towards people that can't afford things, and understanding, and maybe revisiting and saying, okay, well, maybe we don't have to spend $15,000 on mulch, maybe we can spend 10. Maybe we don't have, or Jim, when I watched the meeting the other day, that Munson wants to now have another $8,000 for these cameras that, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen where they've paid off on anything on the cameras. So why are we putting more money into that? Get rid of that. Get rid of that. You can leave the cameras sitting up there. Nobody knows if they're working or not. Okay? And keep the security people that drive around. And just get rid of the freaking security out of the budget. There's money right there. I didn't look to see how much that is. But there are other places. I used to head the budget committee, so I know. I used to be in charge of this, and we went over everything. And we had meetings with the owners. We had meetings with the cluster advisors, and we took everybody's feedback. And just because you put a wish list out there didn't mean you got it. Okay, just because you say, oh, we want this or we want that, and then you just say, okay, no problem. And nobody questions it, you just push it on down the road. And we did, as Tammy said, have more than one budget. We had a budget with raises, or with the increases, and without. So that, those went out to the owners could compare them side by side, and then they could make their decision when it came time. But I'm very frustrated with this board that I feel like no one says anything. Everybody goes along to get along. It's like the government. Let's just keep spending till we go into, the whole thing into bankruptcy. And when this whole, when you start getting more people that are going to be going bankrupt or cannot afford living here, you're going to start seeing this place go downhill because people can't afford to keep it up. And even if I wanted to sell, where are you going to move? There is nothing on the market under $300,000 a year now. Nothing. And that's without maintenance fees. And if you can't afford the maintenance fees now and you can't afford to move, what are you going to do? So a little bit of introspection would be helpful for people to understand where people are coming from. And I'm not trying to be a bitch about it, but I was there. I did the budget. We went over things line by line. We cut where we could cut, and where we felt we could, like if you didn't have to have new pool chairs every year, or if you didn't have to have mulch or whatever, then you cut, or you cut, partial funded it instead of fully funded it. But here, I never ever see anybody on their committees ever told, no, I'm sorry, we can't afford it. We need to cut back. We'll give you partial, or resubmit next year. They're wanting more pickleball courts, they're wanting more stuff in that. Where's the money gonna come for that? And I realize that's a what do I wanna say, a very popular thing here, and it's well used and probably well worth the money. But right now, you know, where's the money gonna come from to do that? So I guess y'all are, I'm sure you've all made up your minds as it is, but I really think that unfortunately, I used to be pretty active here, but I had problems with my mother before she passed away, so I was not able to attend meetings and voice my opinion, but I would be the first one at the budget committee, and I would be the first one saying, okay, give me your reasons why. Why do you feel you have to have this, this, and this year? Why? Give me a justification, because I don't see a lot of it. And when I'm looking at here, I just see everything's up, and everything is up. The prices are up on everything. You can't afford your groceries. You can't afford gas in your car. You know, where do you cut? And I can tell you right now, just in my little cluster, which is a very small cluster, I can guarantee you there's going to be at least 5 people that are not going to, at least 5 that are not going to be able to afford the amount that you're requesting. So it is what it is. I tried to put out something that I thought would get people to have a little introspection and think about things before they just pushed it through. And I have no problem with the insurance. We can't control that. We can't control the cable TV. We can't control the water and the garbage pickup. But that being said, you know, it is what it is. You all will do what you want to do, but somebody needs to speak up for other people. Somebody needs to have a voice for everybody that can't be like 90% of you people that don't have a care in the world. That's it.